the listeners that are wondering how they can move from maybe only consuming to now leveraging and using Clubhouse in a way that they can also grow their own business, that they can grow their influence. And as you were talking about, get leads, get more opt-ins, get more sales.
Yeah.
Kind of walk us through like what you've seen, what has been working really good when they're just starting out. What are the steps that you think they should take to get that momentum and also see that success coming?
Sure. So a lot of times when there are new things, but there is no strategy, then people just kind of follow the shiny object. And that's just not the way to do it on Clubhouse. Even before Clubhouse, in my agency, we use a system or a signature system that I call the profit system.
Mm-hmm.
And I just took that same system and I applied it to Clubhouse and it worked extremely well.
Okay.
So the first thing is the P, and P stands for positioning. If your positioning is not right, then you're done before you even start, because like your bio matters. How you're showing up on Clubhouse and what you want to be known for matters. But then the next thing the next action that people take after your bio is they're going to go to your Twitter or your Instagram. If your Instagram or your Twitter does not match what you're
Mm-hmm.
saying on Clubhouse, then again, your positioning is not right. The one thing that I always point out to people when I'm teaching about Clubhouse is the thing that Michael said to me, Michael Stelzner, the CEO of Social Media Examiner, when he came to me in my DM, is I love the way you're positioning yourself on Clubhouse. Like, and that to me was key because I'm so big on positioning. For him to say that exact thing is the reason why now all these
Mm-hmm.
opportunities have opened
Mm-hmm.
up. It goes to show that positioning is important. Your messaging. So your messaging around what you're doing, like what value are you adding to your audience and what problem do you solve? And are you able to articulate that? And does it match what you're saying on all of your other platforms?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's really, really important. Does when people hear you, do the visuals that you have on your page match what it is that you're talking about? Like, how are you positioned on there? I knew when I went on there that I wanted to, I said, okay, this is a wide open market. So what can I do? I went and bought, like, I know there's some people that have hundreds of domains around Clubhouse. I have probably a good 40 of them around Clubhouse, but I used the domain to buy clubhousedaily.com, and that right there automatically positioned me as a leader on Clubhouse.
Very good. Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
before I even had it all figured out, and I still don't have it figured out because it's still evolving,
Right. Right.
but it positioned me in a way that allowed people to see, like, okay, well, let me go to her about anything Clubhouse related. And so the positioning piece is important. The R in profit is for ROI. So a lot of people think of ROI as return on investment, and you are investing your time, but I look at it as return on intention. What are your intentions when you get on Clubhouse? If you're
Mm-hmm.
going on Clubhouse to just sell something or to just try to get more customers, or you're trying to like do that, people can hear it, because when you're talking to people, they can hear the authenticity, or they can hear when it's like, and they can feel when you're just trying to sell something or you're just trying to get them to do something. And so your intention, you have to ask yourself, like, what is my intention for going on here? Am I purely going on here to add value? And then,
Mm-hmm.
have a strategy in place so that then the people that have found value in what I'm saying want to take action? Or am I, what is my true intention when I go on here? And then making sure that you're getting a return on that. So I have 3 ways that I show up on Clubhouse. So some of the days I go in rooms that I know no one knows me, and I'm not in the followed by speakers or anything, but it's just topics that I'm genuinely interested in, and I'm going in there to listen and learn and take my own notes
Mm-hmm.
on there.
Yeah.
And then other times my intention is to go on there and I want to show up and add value. And so then I go on there and I collaborate and I show up in rooms and I'm a speaker in there. And so that's my intention for the day. And then I track what happened from the intention. And then other times I'm going in there to do market research. Sometimes I go in rooms that I know that my audience is in, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
listening to the questions that they're
Yeah.
asking,
Yeah.
and I'm listening to the pain pain points that they're having, and I'm keeping track of that in my spreadsheet. So it's like, what is your
Very good.
intention?
Mm-hmm.
And then what is the return on the intention that you can get? So that's the R. And then the O is, what is your offer? If you don't have an offer to offer people when you're on stages, then you're not going to be able to build an audience or get people to, take an action or anything like that. You need to have something to offer people so that then if they want to connect with you further, then you make it easy for them to do so. For me, that's Clubhouse Daily. And then for other people, they have like lead magnets, or they create notes, or they create PDFs around the things that they're talking about in rooms, and they're driving people to that offer so that then they can further the connection. The F is for funnel. So if you don't have an automated way to do this and you're manually giving, you're like, DM me this thing, and then you're giving out, like, you don't have a way for them to opt in, and it's not automated for them to do so, like, then you're going to be working way harder than you need to. So you need to have a funnel around the offer, and then you need to be able to have intentional traffic and conversion. So have an intentional way that you're leveraging the traffic to make those connections, to collaborate with people, and then to, like, for your audience, to get them to actually take action on something that you are offering. So making sure that you're having an intentional way that you're showing up. So if you're hearing something, if you're hearing a question over and over when you're doing your market research that someone is asking, create a room around that. And when you're in there, be intentional about how you're tracking that traffic and data. So take a picture of everyone in the room, follow up with them, like reach out, put these things in a spreadsheet, like really organize that, and then have your VA, have your assistant, or even you reach out to the people that are DMing you, or reach out to the people that were in the room so that you can have a follow-up way to connect with them further. You have to be intentional about that traffic that is coming your way. And then T is tracking the data. I've been talking about it the whole time. But like being really intentional on tracking that data, knowing, okay, when I came into this room, I had this many followers. When I left out, I had this many followers. I had this many followers come to me on Instagram. I have this many connections now on LinkedIn or on Facebook. I have this many people that actually bought my digital product. I have this many people that scheduled a call with me. Like really
kind of tracking back
data.
where the source was and kind of focusing on that, what's working, right?
Exactly. So that is my overall strategy, and that has worked tremendously well for me with being able to really leverage Clubhouse for my business.
Wow, so good. So I have two specific questions. Wondering, okay, so let's start out with let's start with the beginning one. So you said there are 3 different ways how you show up. And now if it's time where somebody's like, okay, I want to show up, I want to provide value. I think a lot of people are wondering, okay, where should I start? Because they're like these small groups, big groups, like where these gurus are in hosting. So it's like, okay, where is the best place to start and kind of get out there to get the toes wet, So what would you say is the best way to kind of get that momentum start? Because I suppose if you just, nobody knows you, nobody's following you, open a room, probably nobody's going to see and find it, right? That's what I understand how Clubhouse works, because if nobody's following you, you open a room, nobody sees it, because that's how I understand that works, right? So how would you, like, from the very beginning, start to get that momentum started, to have that first opportunity to speak, provide value, get the first people following you, and then maybe moving to whatever the next step you would suggest? But what would that first size room or whatever be ideal for somebody that's just starting?
So first, I would suggest, like, you go, the thing about bios is bios act as like a search engine, just like Google, just like YouTube. It's another search engine. So the higher the keywords are up on someone's bio, the easier it is for you to find them when you search them. So when you go to the search over on Clubhouse, put in the keywords of people or rooms that you will want to see in your hallway, because and that's why I don't like the follow rooms and all of that, because whoever you follow curates your hallway. Your hallway only shows you people that you are following. And so you have to know that you're following quality people. And so go to the search engine and know exactly what types of rooms that you do want to be in. And it's going to pull up all the people in different types of clubs and things like that are connected to that particular subject. I say you can go to the clubs first, because that's where all the people are. So if there's there's a subject matter that you want to know about and there's a club around it, then you'll find the people and you can start looking at their bios and seeing who you want to follow so that you can start curating your hallways. Now, as you're curating your hallways, start going into the rooms and start kind of just, first, just study it, study the game. And like, really, like for me, I was on there for 2 weeks, just in rooms and seeing how everything went first, so that I knew how to even navigate inside of the app.
Like
And
pressing the mute on off is like clapping, like, oh, okay, that's what they're doing. At first, like something's broken here. Like, oh, that's the way they're clapping. It's so
exactly. It's a whole different like ecosystem, a whole different like world.
And it's funny how that evolved, like the own Clubhouse way of doing things. Or like, let's do a tag round or whatever you call, like, let's tag all your people in here and then we'll stay on.
Oh yeah,
all
when
that
you ping
stuff.
ping them in the room.
Ping them in the room. Ping them in the room. So funny. Okay, sorry, I didn't want to.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. So yeah, so then so as you're going in rooms and you're navigating that, so back to my tracking the data, start getting a spreadsheet and writing down the moderators that you really love the way that they host their rooms and you like their way that they're speaking. There's a little bell button next to the people's names that you're able to click on the bell. So when they start a room, you could be the first one in there. And when you start showing up in there, then they get used to seeing you. And so then at that point, if you have a spreadsheet and you have like a room that you were in and you have like key points from that moderator that you like, then go into, you can go into your DM and introduce yourself. Even before you ask for collaborations, just get them familiar with seeing your face. Because if you're wanting to start a room, if you're wanting to be able to grow your audience, the best and quickest way to do it is collaboration. You have to collaborate with other people in order to grow your audience. That's literally one of the only ways that you can do that in an efficient manner. And so knowing who you want to collaborate with so that you can leverage their audience is good. And then some people are like, well, they're not going to want to collaborate with me because I don't have an audience. Like I don't have an audience. So why would they want to collaborate with me? But if you make it easy for people, if you go into their DM, you say, hey, so-and-so, I love the way that I was in your room when you said this. And I love the way that you said, and you have your key points that were in your spreadsheet. Remember, you're tracking the data.
Right.
So you tell them that, and then you do a voice note or you do a video so that it's personal. And then if you feel like, okay, well, maybe they won't want to collaborate with me because I don't have an audience yet, then ask them like, hey, can I interview you? Can I do an interview room with you where I'm interviewing you and I'm asking you questions about something? Then that way it positions them and it makes them honor, like, oh, you want to interview me? And so then, then you're able to get on stage with them as a moderator and grow your audience. And you could do that with 5 people. You can find 5 people that have audiences and you ask them, can I do an interview with you? You have them all on the same stage. Their audience is naturally going to come in. Okay. And then if it's around a topic that you already know about or can speak about, then you can also insert like your expertise in there while you're interviewing so that you're positioned well. And then the people that are in their audience are going to come check you out and then they're going to start following you as well. Yep. And so it's really, those are the key things so that you can be able to grow on there. And so you can start leveraging the audiences of other people to grow your own audience.
So good. I love the idea of also then maybe even doing the interview version first, but it's still sharing the stage and just being seen with them. And then as you were saying, because other people are following them, right? They'll be notified that they're in the room talking, so people will show up. Now, when you, so with that example, when you plan that interview with XYZ, and then you organize the room, is there a way that you would like, okay, let's do this interview that time, and I think you can like create like a calendar, say this is the day, this is the time we're going to have the interview. So you can say like these are the people joining, right? Something like that.
Absolutely. So, and then that's what I always tell people too, when it comes to collaborations, go to the person you want to collaborate with a game plan. Tell them like, this is the way that I want to market this event. Really put some intention behind it, create marketing materials, send it out to your email list, to your text list, and then also schedule the room as well. Scheduling a room, especially if you're doing it the way that I said with the interview style, the person that you're interviewing has to follow you back so you can add them to the calendar. So then it gets them to follow you because that's the only way to add them to the calendar. But then also it notifies their audience and your audience that you are doing a room on that day with that person.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Got it. Okay. So now someone would maybe interview people or be able to get up on the stage and maybe share some value. Is
Right.
that kind of when you would say it would make sense to maybe start creating the first own rooms? Is or what when is it like the right timing or too soon to actually host your own rooms, like just for yourself without like interviewing anybody?
So that's a bit of a tricky question. So until your audience is somewhere over like 10 or 20,000, it's
Mhm.
going to be really hard if you start a room unless you already built a following there to get people into your room when you're going live like that. And so I say, start building those relationships. Like as you're building relationships with other moderators,
Mhm.
it could be your room because you started the room, so like you could feel comfortable with sending people to your offer and all of those type of things. But having like 5 or 6 people on stage with you, not only it helps you with, of course, continuing to build your audience, but if you need to step away for a reason, or if you need someone to be able to help you to navigate or manage, like some people are on there as bouncers, so they're able to like keep the stage clean, able to help to curate the conversation. They're able to help you to be able to run a really great room and have the stage to flow in a certain type of way. And so even if you're hosting a room yourself and as you're starting it, I would say still collaborate with like 4 or 5 other moderators that can also help drive the audience into, and then they can also help you with the flow of how you're doing your room.
Mhm.
And then when you hit like some of those larger numbers, then when you start a room, people will naturally fall in to your room as well. That's what I would suggest. Now I've
Mhm.
seen people do it other ways and they don't mind, like if it's 4 or 5 people in the room, but I think
Yeah.
to make the best use of your time, if you're
Got
going to
it.
do if you're going to
Mhm.
talk that long anyway, you might as well have as many people as you can in the room.
Yeah. Now, you were talking about an example, mentioning others that have made, I don't know, 6 figures, 7 figures, who knows what. Now, were they actually using Clubhouse like as a webinar to sell something, or was it just giving value and then actually pushing them to an actual webinar? You know what I
No,
mean?
so
So do
for the
people
people
actually
that I
use?
know,
Yeah,
yes.
sorry.
So one person I know, she was able to she started a room, and she was on there talking about something, and she had already grown like an audience. She was already at like 30 something thousand, people on there. And so when she was in that room and she was started doing like more like masterclass style trainings, and she would give a coupon code, like the coupon code is only good while we're in this room, and
Oh,
she would
okay.
drive people to her book. And so
Got it.
she sold like a whole lot of books
Oh, okay.
during that time that she had that open. But then she also had like an accelerator program that she wanted people to get into. And so then she sent people to her like training or something like that. So a lot of people send people off platform
Right.
for that. Now I saw her do both types, but the only thing that she did that was live, like selling in the room, was more so like the book. And that's something
Mhm.
that's like really low ticket. And
Right.
so she was able
Yeah.
to drive traffic there. The other people that I've seen, they send people to a training, or they send people to, yeah, that's what I've been seeing. People send people off app to
Yeah.
like a training or something
Right.
like that.
And of course, that's only really possible from what I've heard or seen, of course, is when you're actually hosting the room. I mean, you don't
Mhm.
go on somebody other
Oh no,
stage
that is a
and you'll be
huge
like,
no no.
hey, by the way, here's the coupon for whatever. Like you'll be by others. So
Yeah, if you want to know how to never be invited on someone else's stage,
uh,
then go and pitch yourself in somebody else's room on their
right,
stage.
right.
You will never be asked again.
I thought I'll just bring that up for other people to kind of not do that mistake.
Yes.
And maybe
Very
that's a no
true.
brainer, but just in case, yeah. So that's something you should definitely not do. So, um, what have you seen now? You're providing value as a guest.
Yes.
You have an optimized bio, as you were talking about, knowing your positioning. Now, is there really a way to besides, of course, providing value, but in a not salesy way to kind of help the people to take that next step as being on a stage of somebody else? Or is it just pretty much being as valuable as possible, just blowing up the room with expertise and blowing people's minds, and just that leading for people just kind of to check you out and the bio doing the work for you? Or is there something as you are talking there, you kind of can hint them in a way, you know what I mean?
Right.
Where you can actually talk in a way, maybe say things that will push them to that next step without you breaking the rules, if you know what I mean.
Sure. So this is the way that, and this is like a secret way that
Okay.
not a lot of people
That's
are
what we're here
using.
for. We want to know the secret.
So
So
this is the way that not a lot of people are using, but what you can do is like have a spreadsheet of all the
okay, we're
things
all
that
gonna go get our spreadsheet after this.
of all the things that you want to talk about that you have actual offers to, if you have
Mhm.
opt-ins to them.
Yeah.
And so only go into rooms and on stages in which you can uh kind of, so if you have, so say for instance, this is an example, say you have 5 ways to drive traffic to Instagram. So
Mhm.
then you go into a room that is about Instagram, you get on stage and you say, hey, can I share my 5 top ways to be able to da 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 da,
Mhm.
and then you share those ways and you say, if you want to go more in depth with me, I do have something, just click the link in my bio over on Instagram and I have like this all mapped out more in depth. And so then that's a quick way where it doesn't feel like, you're really pitching,
Because
but
I
you
pretty
still
much
can.
already presented it, and it's
Yeah,
just like,
exactly.
if you don't
And
want to have your
it's
notes,
more of
but
a resource. It becomes more of
Mhm.
a resource, but you're
Okay.
still adding people to your list to do
Okay.
that.
Okay. Yeah. I like it. Okay. Very good. Very good.
And then for me, have a community. If you're in a niche that want, so this is what, and this is a couple of people took my advice on this and they're doing really well, is if you're in a niche, like say you are in e-commerce and you know other e-commerce people that will want to know how to use Clubhouse, then open up a group, a free group in which you have an opt-in to get into that group, and then have a community around how people in e-commerce can use Clubhouse.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. So good.
Yeah.
Wow, this was really amazing. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of people kind of see how step by step way how they can start using Clubhouse, how they can
Mhm.
follow through with your PROFIT
Yes.
framework, and know what to focus on. So I think this
Mhm.
was really, really good and really helpful. Have you seen, we actually already pointed out one or two, so maybe another one, like people that screwed up in a certain way that the people listening should not mess up, and like typical mistakes you see people doing besides pitching on somebody else's, so we covered that one, but is another one where you see people kind of messing up that our listeners now should kind of note, write
Whew.
down, and not do as well? A
Sure.
typical mistake to avoid.
Yeah, so definitely